Early World Cup matches are chaotic for fantasy managers and bettors. In a matter of days, volatile spikes in performance data can build your tournament bankroll or derail it. To track who is actually influencing the tournament, we can look at the Aramco-powered FIFA Power Rankings. These assess player contributions across 3 distinct categories: attacking, creativity, and defending. After the first round of group games, the leaderboard looked exactly how you would expect. Established superstars like Lionel Messi naturally held the top spots. But once the second set of group matches got underway, unexpected players like Canada's Jonathan David and Brazil's Matheus Cunha rocketed up the leaderboards, climbing over 170 places straight into the mathematical elite. So the question you have to ask before locking in your fantasy transfers is simple. Do these massive ranking jumps point to sustainable breakout stars, or are they anomalies created by stat padding against weaker teams? Your capital for this tournament, whether that means fantasy roster spots, a betting budget, or simply who you choose to study tactically, is limited. To spend it wisely, we have to evaluate opponent-adjusted output. This means weighing a player's raw numbers against the defensive quality of the team they actually played. Racking up high-volume shots against teams like Qatar or Haiti requires a different skill set than breaking down organized defenses in the knockout rounds. That brings us to our reality check framework. We are going to weigh the promise of a player's raw metrics against the practice of their real-world opponent context. Taking early data at face value without applying this context leads to poor investments and wasted capital. Let's start with the attacking rankings and Jonathan David's performance for Canada. This table breaks down attacking inputs. Look at David's row: 8 attempts, 6 on target, yielding a hat trick against Qatar. While this secures short-term fantasy points, 8 open play shots per game is a difficult rate to maintain as opponents move into compact defensive blocks. Now compare that to Matheus Cunha, who just pushed into the top 15 attackers. This efficiency metric is what you actually want to watch. Cunha outperformed his expected goals by 0.83 against Haiti. A positive number here points to clinical finishing, converting difficult chances into goals without needing a high volume of attempts. Efficiency tends to be a better long-term tactical bet. Keep in mind, though, that Cunha relies on Brazil's creative midfielders for service. His output is tied to his teammates, while David was manufacturing his own volume. Moving to the creativity rankings, we find the players who connect the midfield to the attack. Brazil's Lucas Paquetá is one of the biggest risers here, jumping 211 places up the board. This chart measures creative influence. Paquetá drove the offense with 8 midfield line breaks and 3 defensive unit line breaks against Haiti. While vital for Brazil's tactical dominance, this is often a fantasy trap. Line breaks function as the pass before the assist, yielding no direct points. Then we have Czechia defender Vladimir Koufal, who climbed 93 places. This column tracks cross-threat. Against South Africa, Koufal produced the highest score in the match, triggering goal-scoring sequences. While driving offense offers upside, pushing high leaves his flank open to counterattacks, risking the clean sheet points that defensive fantasy investments rely on. Both Paquetá and Koufal are tactical assets for their head coaches. However, their specific creative inputs often fail to translate into tangible betting or fantasy yields. Finally, we turn our attention to the defending rankings. This is where strict organization and discipline rule over individual flair. Morocco's holding midfielder Neil El Anayawi was just rewarded with a 211-place surge. The defensive breakdown shows exactly why. 8 possession regains, 4 blocks, and 7 tackles to secure the clean sheet against Scotland. He dictates the game's flow. To capitalize, you must invest in Morocco's overall defensive unit, rather than expecting individual highlight reel returns. Contrast that with the USMNT's Chris Richards, who climbed 165 places. This specific metric isolates central possession regains. Richards registered 10 against Australia, disrupting build-up play through the middle. This metric is crucial because central regains rely on positioning and reading the game, repeatable traits that translate well when the opposition quality increases. Players who score high in these specific defensive metrics provide low volatility foundations. They guarantee a high floor for the entire team. Identifying form early through advanced data only works if you account for the difficulty of the opponent. This decision tree determines who you should actually invest in based on your primary goal. If you want fantasy or betting yield, sell the hype on Jonathan David. His high volume of chances is unlikely to persist against elite knockout stage defenses. Instead, buy Chris Richards and the U.S. defensive assets. Their metrics are repeatable and carry low volatility. If you are a tactical observer, focus your attention on Lucas Paquetá and Neil El Ainoui. Their ball-regaining and line-breaking engines will dictate exactly how far Brazil and Morocco progress. The ultimate strategic advantage comes from knowing exactly which underlying metrics will persist when the quality of opposition inevitably rises. Understanding the context behind the numbers is the only way to stay ahead of the market in the 2026 World Cup.